Today's topic is called solar power. It's a bit of play on words, because I know you all know what the power of the month is and the colour and all that, do we? Eh?
Yellow.
Yellow. Thank you, Roberto. And also the colour, the wisdom, judgment, wisdom/judgment is power. Wisdom includes judgment, discrimination, intuition, and all the departments of the mind that come under the heading of knowledge, all those 12 powers, which are put up on the wall there to remind us. The colour yellow and the location in the body is the solar plexus. The solar plexus is located in the pit of the stomach, and some call it the abdominal brain. The presiding intelligence in this centre knows what is going on, especially in the domain of consciousness pertaining to the body and its needs. I mentioned in meditation to take a conscious breath, because we're breathing anyway. Our food is digesting. We're not thinking about all this stuff. If we cut ourselves, our inner doctor will heal us. So it is here that the subconscious part of our mind connects to the physical body. And its highest phase makes union with the light of spirit functioning in the top brain. If we believe something strong enough, it can happen. But it's in our solar plexus that all that subconscious junk is kept. Wow, isn't it a mess? I was there the other day just thinking of something. I thought, is that still here? Especially when we can't sleep at night, or you've come out of a dream and think, what was all that? Rubbish. So we've got our tools, we've got the prayer protection and other things we can do, but that subconscious is very, very powerful. Trying to change it is another thought. It's not necessarily an easy process. We have to really work at it. As we say for people that come and learn the teachings, you have to put the effort in to do your part to help spirit. And maybe this talk will show you why, in a small way. Now, modern ways of changing these ingrained thoughts are becoming more widely known and used by many when they know how to use them. We know these. One article found on the internet states there are 7 possible or more ways to do this. We already know about positive affirmations with feeling. We know about visualization. We've had some wonderful times here with past people that are no longer with us, but people have sat around these walls and on the tables cutting out pictures, putting them in books, and doing things like that to Irene Ross was one, I think, of that. Some of you may remember her. The other one is hypnosis. This is becoming, well, it is mainstream now. Subliminal audio and video, yes, we've got that. And meditation, which we always knew about. Controlling our will and habits, and auto-suggestion. How long does it take? Some say it can take a month. And I was speaking to Reverend Grace Merrick last night, and we were talking about things, and she says it could take years. And she says, when things come up for me, she says, I just knock them on the head. She said, but to get them to go away isn't that easy. The interesting news is that the human nervous system is neuroplastic, meaning it can change for the worse or the better. The word neuro is relating to nerves or the nervous system. But one positive is that brains that have been harmed by substance abuse can unlearn those behaviours. And the AA movement is one example of that, but it doesn't happen overnight in most people. Well, one method for regenerating our thoughts we've known about for centuries. We're in the middle of it. The Lenten season. Lent has been part of most mainstream religions for centuries, without most people understanding the metaphysical meaning behind it. The Lenten season began on the 5th of March and lasts approximately 14 days to Palm Sunday. It's not mentioned in the Bible, but was introduced by the early Christian fathers as being symbolic of the time Jesus spent 40 days and nights in the desert, preparing for his mission as the Christ. Now, Beverly's not here to give us a rundown on the number 40, but in the revealing word, the number 40 represents a time of completion. And the desert, metaphysically, represents seeming lack, a dark night of the soul. During Christmas, we gave birth to the Christ child. And between Christmas and Lent, we allow this idea to take hold. We keep thinking about it. We nurture it, giving expression to it, by aiming to give up that which does not support our inner journey of expanded consciousness. Often we start off well-intended, but somewhere along the way, we tend to become like a spider caught up in its own web. You start off in the morning thinking, okay, I'll cut back on this, I'll start exercising tomorrow. Quite often we don't. I've been putting that off for months. And I think, well, maybe tomorrow, but then the weather's bad, or it's too hot or too cold, or I don't feel right, so I don't do it. So now during Lent, we take time to unravel ourselves from the results of our own thinking that has kept us from fully experiencing the fruits of the Spirit. I used to know these by heart, but I've got them here just in case. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. They're in the Bible. We may not be able to pray and fast for 40 days, as Moses, Elijah, and Jesus did, and other way showers do it. But we have to have a time to take control of our thinking and get these new thoughts into our abdominal brain, the solar plexus, and prove to ourselves that we can change our thinking, we can change our lives in line with universal spiritual law, which never changes. I don't know if anyone here has been on a fast. Has anyone here been on a fast? Yes. How long? Lisa? Right, okay. Did you feel any better for it? Like, in what ways, do you think?
Well, scientifically provided it does actually raise your dopamine levels.
Yes.
So I did feel really bright in my attitude,
Wow.
light in my body, more energy.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry you probably didn't hear that at home, but would you come up for a second, Lisa?
Keep my shoes back.
Oh, she's putting the shoes on, but I want you at home to hear this, all right? So she's not going to sing, she's just going to speak.
No, singing together. I can sing the
There you go.
reply.
Right. There's the people on the Zoom.
Hello, everyone on Zoom. So I wasn't expecting to get up, but Reverend Bill asked the benefits of the fasting. So I was saying biochemically, it does actually raise dopamine levels in the body. So with that, your brain has a more positive attitude. You feel a lightness in the body, more energy, and some little bit of background. It causes something in the body called autophagy, and old dying cells are killed off and new cells are renewed. So there's quite a lot of benefits, and it's quite a big study about fasting. Okay.
Thank you. Would you thank Lisa? I used to go to the Spiritualist Church in the city, and there's lots of people there. And the minister decided to do a song called, to the tune of Waltzing Matilda. And it was, "My cells are renewing," and it was so hysterical. "My cells are renewing, my cells are renewing." But the humour helped. It was wonderful. Now, I saw someone else. Roberta, come up and share yours for about a minute, 2 minutes. Let's see what Roberta has to say. There's everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you. Well, I remember sitting in my kitchen in Malvern. I did a 5-day fast. I drank water and black tea. I freely admit I thought I was going mad by the 5th day, and I saw myself climbing up the wall and on top of the fridge in my kitchen. I thought it was time to stop. However, the benefits are that the brain resets itself and the whole body comes back down into a state of well-being, calmness, and I'm interested in what Leslie had to say, but just from an embodied experience, that's what happened for me. And then I introduced foods after that very carefully to see which ones worked and which didn't. Now I only do like a 3-day fast. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you. Anyone else, just briefly? Who is that? Regina. Regina's going to now come up and tell us in 2 minutes.
Hello on Zoom. Well, I used to do a weekly, just 1 day a week, every week fast, really for a mental discipline. It's a yogic thing, so it's really, really good. Of course, I'd eat tons the night before. And I have done it for 3 days, but after about the first day, you don't get hungry after that. And when you do start eating again, you feel really, really good and really enjoy the food. Of course, you eat it then when you start, but start off slowly. But yeah, so 1 day a week is just a really good mental discipline, and your head is very clear and you feel good. Yeah, so I enjoyed it.
I'm sure we'd have some more people. Yes?
They can't hear me up there, and I won't come up again. But for those who are really interested in fasting, but doing it a very safe and healthy way, they can go on YouTube. This is better than Googling him. On YouTube, and watch Dr. Eric Berg. His clips are very good.
Okay. Dr. Erica Bird.
So E-R-I-C.
E-R-I-C.
B-E-R-G.
Berg. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Wayne.
There's also someone that's been around for a long time called Don Tom.
Would you come up, Wayne? Would you welcome Wayne to the platform? I've been waiting years for this. Yeah. Great.
Hi everyone. There's also someone that's been around for like 50 years called Don Tolman. And he's been to Melbourne just recently, actually. Well, not him, but actually his son, Tyler, is now taken over from him. And he does a lot of things to do with healing the body, food, fasting and whatever else. So obviously he's got his own website as well and things like that. Retreats in Bali and all kinds of things.
I did a retreat in the Gold Coast years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Lorraine and I went.
Duncan and I have been to one in Melbourne.
Yeah, we've been to ones in Gold Coast as well.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know he's been to Perth and Gold Coast and Melbourne just recently. So
Yes.
yeah, Tyler Tolman.
He runs like 7 and 14-day fasting retreats in Bali.
Oh, yeah.
It's done medically with doctors and nurses, they take a class. It's done in a
Yeah.
proper professional way, it's not this therapy, everything. So he usually would take to start with a day and he chooses fasting. So just juices and waters. I've done 3 days of juice.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing what it does to your body.
Right.
But you can drink a lot of juice and water.
Yeah.
You get headache and all.
Thank you. I know you probably couldn't hear that, but Lorraine just added a little bit to what Wayne was saying about it, so it was very interesting. We might have to write that down later. Thank you for all taking part in that. Now, I don't know where the time's going, but I do want to get onto this. Getting back to the solar plexus. I think I'll miss that page. Meditation. That was all done, that page. Meditation is one of the main tools, as we know, for moving the baggage away. And not only that, it exposes baggage. And it's good to know what we can work on. However long it takes, we've got a blueprint from Adam to Christ. And life seems really too short to do it in one go, really. The subject some people don't really talk about, but reincarnation. Charles Fillmore has written from time to time about this process from the Revealing Word. When a soul leaves the body, it rests for a season. Then innate desire for material expression asserts itself, and the ego seeks the primal cell and builds another body. This is called reincarnation. Reincarnation will continue until the ego awakens to the Christ mind, and through it builds an imperishable body. Now we know that Charles Fillmore always said, I reserve the right to change my mind. And looking back over that, if we think about it, an imperishable body, well, it may not necessarily be a physical body because everything here's got a use by date. We're just the elements. Our body temple is built from what's on the planet. The subject isn't broached too much in Unity, but I personally like the idea. And my favourite Unity minister, Ernest C. Wilson, he was a bit of a character. He was one of the first Unity ministers to have a church in Hollywood. He was a theatrical minister, and so he used to go at the end of the night and do a 5-minute talk saying good night to Los Angeles. And it was from that that Rosemary Fillmore Rhee and others thought, oh, if he could do that, we can do something similar. That's how I read it from the book. Ernest C. Wilson has a great way with words, and he's written a book called We Have Lived Before. And it resonates quite through me as I was reading it. And just a little bit here from the Undying Self. The self of you that is observing these changes, that persists in spite of them, does not die. The self constantly seeks greater expression, and each new expression works changes in outward form. You let go of certain limitations, and you evolve more expansive ideas. And you clothe yourself with a form suited to those ideas. But whether you are clothed in the body of a babe, or a child, or a youth, or a younger person, man or woman, you are you. You do not lose your identity even though you become identified with a different appearance. Now that's quite comforting for a lot of us. And we know that there is more to life than just this. But we make use of this time. Now the early Christian fathers tried to, remove traces of reincarnation from the Bible, or so they thought. But to those with eyes that can see will find some examples they have missed. In the New Testament, Jesus is discussing it in Matthew 11:7-15. You can get those off me later. And on the Gospel of John 9:2, and there are others. So along with that, I like to think that I do my best trusting and proving the effectiveness of our spiritual teachings right here and now in the body we've got. And we're all at different stages of the body and awareness, so it gives us a chance to put into practice what we have discovered, now more than ever. Okay, now to sum up, what about our solar power? In the mainstream religions, we have a trinity called the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. In Unity and other New Thought groups, we refer to it as a body, mind, and spirit. Some of us here are familiar with the teachings of the kahunas of Hawaii. We had a wonderful Hawaiian connection a few years ago, and I've been there once actually, and I just found the place magical. They had a teaching only now just being recognised, the kahunas. The word kahuna means keeper of secrets. Long before the Christian missionaries arrived and started teaching their version of fundamental Christianity to them, they were doing their own thing. They knew this ancient wisdom, which is of the importance that there is only one mind, and they truly understood how this mind works. And they used different names for each mind. Now, we've got a slide for this too, Duncan. Now look, it's a photograph from a book, so don't be too worried about what it looks like. The Unihibili is called the lower self, we now call the subconscious. Uhani, the middle self, the conscious. Ana Kua, or older, most trustworthy parent self, we call the superconscious or higher self. What a way to call it, our older, most trustworthy parental self. Now, Max Freedom Long lived in Hawaii for several years in the 1920s and was befriended by some of the locals. He wrote of the importance of the unhipili, the subconscious part of our being, needs to generate enough energy to convince the higher self to bring our requests forward. And we do this, we need the energy called mana. The Hindu concept is prana, and the Chinese call it ki, chi. Max Freedom Long believed that to make our prayers come true, you have to accompany it with vital energy, feeling, which is the language of spirit. We know that here when we say our affirmations. We have to say them with feeling, because it is done unto us as we believe. And as you can see from that slide, that made a lot clear, didn't it? To get to the higher self, the conscious mind has to convince our unconscious, and that energy goes up to the higher self, back to the conscious. And in meditation, we aim to rise our mind to the higher self that we know that can be diverted to what's going on outside. So we have to be disciplined and aim for the highest. So during Lenten season, we can practice the spiritual tools we've been given in our Unity teachings. All these teachings now are almost mainstream, but it doesn't take the effectiveness away from them. But now, more than ever, it's not only about individual enlightenment, it's about a collective environment as we go ahead. So during March, we can get to know this superpower in us, this solar power. It's there for us to call into action and give us the strength and spiritual power we need here, now and in the future, wherever that may be. Thank you.